one day, I must have been a grade 4 or 5 student at the time, I was going to my school in my school bus and was sitting on a seat near a window of the bus. The bus was moving in its normal speed, and I was just looking outside the window. The bus soon came to a narrow road, and I saw some beautiful flowers growing on the tall muddy wall of the road near my window. Its beauty attracted me, and I quickly stretched my left hand to reach to the flower to pluck it up. As soon as I stretched my hand and was ready to pluck the flower up, I suddenly saw an electricity pole fast approaching to the direction of my hand. I quickly sensed the risk I was in and quickly decided to pull my hand in, and while trying to do so, due to the fast speed of the bus, the pole caught my hand a bit and sprained it. I am sure, if I have not seen the pole on time and quickly pulled my hand in, it would definitely have broken my hand in at least 2 pieces, or even more horrible than that, and I would have been in great trouble indeed. Thank God, it just touched my hand and sprained it. But the touch was enough to give me severe pain. I just quickly and tightly held it near my body and tried to tolerate the pain as far as I could without letting anybody know. I just did not want to feel embarrassed and be a center of attention. Actually, it was so quick that nobody in the bus noticed it. I just held it near my body, not even moving it a bit, and did not tell anybody about that, and nobody asked me if I was okay too. When I reached the school, I came down from the bus slowly, still holding my hand near to my body, tolerating the pain. I just held my hand like that the whole day. It just ruined my day. I was not able to concentrate on my study and did not feel like eating anything. I just felt sick. I just held my hand like that the whole day. As the day went by, I did feel the decrement of the pain. After school, I returned home from the same school bus and even did not tell my parents about it. I just did not want to be scolded by them, and they too did not notice that I was in pain. I took my school shirt off and observed my hand closely and found that it was not swollen, and I was able to extend and contract it slowly. As the days went by, my hand did come to its normal state without needing to go and visit a doctor. Since this incident, I have never put my hand outside the bus window ever. Alright, this was from secondary, but my school hosted both secondary and high school, so I guess it counts. I'm in Singapore. My school moved to a temporary campus for 3 years due to renovation. The neighborhood where it was located used to be a cemetery, which was demolished and then built over. They tried to retrieve as many coffins as possible, but they didn't retrieve all. This is a fact. Which mean, there are literally dead bodies below where we were studying. The holding campus used to belong to a vocational school. Back in Japanese occupation time, it was a communal shelter since there was a large bomb shelter there. In my period, it was converted into a band room, and there were tons of scary stories behind it. People report hearing drums being knocked after lockdown. It wasn't just rats knocking, it was the small drums being tapped on. Some report seeing the security guard locking the door, only to find it opened a few minutes later. There is an actual rule enforced in school, that no one is supposed to be in the band room after dark. The security guard at 6 will force everyone to drop whatever they are doing and leave the room at once. They cited 4 security reasons, but I once had a genuine talk with the principal, and he admitted it was due to the ghost stories. Mind you, this man is a hardcore devout Christian. But apparently the ghost stories were way too common and confirmed by many people. He went ahead and took precaution. It was 7th grade, your average boring-ass middle school class. When the loudspeaker came on, An active shooter has entered the school. Please begin a shelter-in-place lockdown. This is not a drill, I repeat, this is not a drill. The teacher fainted. The girl who sat next to me was about to scream, but I clapped my hand over her mouth before she could. Hide! I whisper-shouted to the rest of the class, and make sure your hiding spot has at least 2 ways out. Try not to huddle together in groups. And if you can, grab a pair of scissors or a dictionary that you can use as a weapon. Don't make any noise. This is like life or death hide and seek. Hey, it was pretty good for a 12-year-old girl. And nobody had any idea what to do, because since school shootings weren't so common then, we didn't have drills. I turned off the lights. Somebody closed the blinds. Someone else locked the doors. I reached for the phone, but when I picked it up, I noticed our connection was down. Everybody found a hiding spot, and then came everybody's worst nightmare. Somebody pounded on the door. Who locked this door? Yelled somebody. There was the unmistakable sound of somebody unlocking a door. I heard a muffled sob. Somebody entered the room. Get out of your hiding spots, the same voice demanded. About half a dozen people leaped out of their hiding spots, their scissors pointed, ready to attack, their dictionaries held above their heads as if they were about to knock out the attacker. I was pretty proud of suggesting our weapons. Whoa, 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 yelled the attacker, as he turned on the lights. It was our gym teacher. Turns out, it was a drill. Our principal explained that in the case of a real shooting, he would say, "This is not a drill," and he wanted the experience to be as realistic as possible. That idiot. I had a half-heart attack because of him. Sophomore year of high school in AP. The teacher was pretty chill, so we were all studying and chatting in his classroom. In the middle of the block, we hear the loudspeaker click on and then some muffled sounds. No one in our class has any idea what was said, so the teacher goes across the hall and asks another teacher. However, he too did not know what was said. 2 guys in the back joke that maybe we're in a lockdown and open a window just in case we need to jump down 2 floors. My teacher closed his door just to be safe, but then told the guys that it's probably nothing, otherwise he would have been notified. 20 minutes later, the class ends and a friend and I walk downstairs to our next block. It was AP Euro, and we had a test, so I was so stressed that I wasn't paying attention to my surroundings. I go to my class and these 2 girls who I'm not friends with walk in looking like they were crying. I was kind of confused, but then another friend came in and told me how she just had to go into a lockdown because someone screamed, "I am going to king kill you all," in the English way. I was frozen in fear as how she described all the students in her class jumping over desks and hugging their friends as they cuddled in the corner, frantically texting their parents that they were going to die. The teacher was the one who made the announcement on the loudspeaker. Apparently she said, "Lock your doors, there's a shooter." After, with tears in her eyes, she picked up a chair and stood near the door, waiting to hit the intruder. Now I can only imagine how lucky I am to live in an affluent town where there is a police station 5 minutes away as well as on-campus police and counselors. I can only imagine what would have happened if he actually did start shooting. My whole class thought it was nothing, the teacher didn't even lock the doors. We all could have so easily been killed. Count your blessings, make each day count, and live life to the fullest, because these things can happen anywhere. I was in the 7th grade at middle school when I experienced the scariest moment of my life. It was a day that started with after-school detention, causing me to miss my usual bus home. Instead of waiting, I decided to walk, taking a shortcut through an area I knew well. Little did I know, this decision would lead me into a terrifying encounter. As I neared my shortcut, 2 boys from my class, the same ones who had been bullying me for some time, appeared out of nowhere. Without warning, they attacked me. One of them grabbed his belt and wrapped it around my neck, tightening it until I struggled to breathe. Panic set in as I realized the severity of the situation. I froze, feeling helpless and afraid, unsure of what would happen next. In a desperate attempt to survive, I decided to play dead. I stopped resisting, hoping they would believe I was unconscious or worse. The bullies, convinced they had succeeded in harming me, dragged my motionless body into the nearby wood. I lay there, covered with palm fronds and branches, listening to their voices as they discussed what they had done. They spoke callously, as if discussing a conquest, unaware that I was silently praying for a chance to escape. Time seemed to stretch endlessly as I waited for an opportunity to flee. Finally, when I sensed they were sufficiently far away, I cautiously began to move. Every rustle of leaves felt deafeningly loud, each step a risk of discovery. Miraculously, I managed to slip away unnoticed and began the journey home, my heart pounding with fear and adrenaline. The next day at school was surreal. I returned, shaken but determined not to show weakness. The bullies' shock and confusion upon seeing me alive and well were evident. I kept my ordeal hidden, afraid to speak out. In those days, seeking help seemed futile. I doubted anyone would believe me or take action. My parents, preoccupied and distant, were unlikely to offer support even if I had told them. Years passed before I found the courage to talk about that traumatic day. It wasn't until I sought help from a psychotherapist that I began to unravel the lasting impact of that experience. The fear, the sense of betrayal, and the burden of keeping such a dark secret weighed heavily on me for years. Only through therapy did I begin to heal and understand that what happened was not my fault, nor was it something I should have faced alone. Looking back, I realize how profoundly that day shaped my sense of safety and trust. It taught me resilience in the face of cruelty and the importance of seeking support in times of distress. While the scars remain, I am grateful for the strength I found within myself and the guidance that eventually led me toward healing. My scariest and saddest experience at school was in 3rd grade. I'm going into 7th now. My biological mom and I have a lot of issues. And they are only getting worse. She is in many ways abusive. She is an alcoholic, but the abuse is not because of that. It occurs on days when she is sober. She never has reached a sober point. And current she is ghosting me. Depriving me of my brother, as well. So, this was in 3rd grade. My mom was starting issues with my stepmom and dad as usual. It escalates, and my mom threatened to bring her friend with her to the school parking lot and beat my stepmom up. My stepmom, Ashley, was the mom I didn't have. She still is now. I love her. We went on a shopping spree today. And it was Ashley and my dad's day. So I was not supposed to be at her house. My mom also threatened to take me and my sister from school before pickup time so Ashley couldn't get us. This was very scary to me, and I knew I had to do something about it or things would take a turn for the worst. So, I sat in class and my witty brain that doesn't want to work in math class had a genius idea. I lied to my teacher telling her I had a headache and that I needed to go to the nurse's office. Usually the nurse lets you call your parents for everything. When I got to the nurse's office I told her I needed to call Ashley for a Tylenol. So I got to call her. I told her that I needed a Tylenol and blah blah blah. Then I said, quote, "Oh, and just to tell you, our mom said she was gonna get us before you and she said this is where I broke down crying." The nurses and the secretaries all came in there talking loud and confused. They called the school counselor and she had to talk to me. I think me and Ashley hung up. I think Ashley came to get us then. That was one of the many scary things that happens to me at school.